Good Thursday afternoon, everyone. I'm Kim Anderson, and we are targeting the violence as we always do here Thursday at 3 o'clock, talking about ways to better our community, to better our youth through mentoring programs, through other programs that are out there to help our youth. So we've got a special guest with me today, one of my favorite people here in the Gulf Coast, Rashiki Leatherwood, and I'm sure a lot of people know who you are from your gym, Next Level Fitness, yes, and just from being an all-around great person. But we're here today to talk about mentoring.
Yes, ma'am.
And the importance of mentoring, and a lot of people really don't know that's something that you do.
Yes, ma'am, it is. Something I started back when I came back to Mobile in 2002. Started mentoring, and I was doing it basically solo. Mm-hmm. And I was taken to Edmund Naaman over at Strickland Youth Center and talked to him, and we talked about it, what I was doing, and from that point, they invited me to come in and join the Nest. I opted out because I had already had things in place where I was going around to schools like Burns Middle School, Carter Mary, St. Paul's, LaFleur, different schools, and just talking to the at-risk youth, and Pathways also. When I was at Pathways, Inez Tucker, she's the one who brought me over there. Mm-hmm. But I've been doing this since 1998, actually.
What is the reaction you get from kids? Because a lot of people are now saying these kids nowadays are hard to talk to. They're hard to mentor.
Well, if we catch them early enough, it is easier. So I found that if we catch them middle school, right when they're making that transition, from the 5th grader to the 6th grader, you go from being the biggest shark in the water, now you're the minnow. And most of the change happens there. So if we catch them young enough, they're receptive. They hadn't been hardened by a lot of things, and they hadn't been taken over by their peers, the older peers. So when I talk, I always interact with them personally. I recall a time I was at Burns and a young kid was acting up, and I invited him up. I called him to the front of the stage, and all I did was put my arm around him and whispered in his ear. And he stood there, and it showed me that most of these kids just want attention. They crave attention and crave structure.
And so you don't think that they get that other places at home, or?
I think as a whole in the community, they don't. A lot of kids don't. I think those that do take it for granted, and they think that everybody lives that same existence, but they don't. So whenever we have an opportunity, we go out. Like I partner with Thomasville Rattlers Mentoring Program Association, and I help fund their campaign, their football team, their mentoring programs. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we try to make sure we give back and put positive people over the kids. People not only is going to teach them the game of football or whatever, but also love them and guide them into a young adulthood.
That's so important. What do you say to those people who always say that we don't have the time? But look, you've got a successful business you're running. You're a single parent raising kids, mm-hmm, and you're still taking the time to give back to other children in our community.
We always have time for what we want to do. So it has to be a passion, and it has to be a priority. We always talk about what's going on, and we love to address the issues, but we have to be a part of the solution. So being a part of the solution, for me, that's the type of person I am. I don't want to talk about issues. Talking about issues, it becomes redundant. So if we get somebody out there, and hopefully somebody see you taking the lead, and that they want to join in, and it's just, you'll find the time for the things that you're passionate about.
That's a lot of problem that we're having, that we see a lot. People will talk the talk, but they're, mm-hmm, actually not walking the walk. Mm-hmm. And it looks like we're not getting anything done because of that.
Well, there's a lot of things being done, but what we're facing is very multifaceted. There's resources, but there's not enough information on the resources. There's programs, but it seems we're in a culture right now where everybody's easily distracted. And so what we have to do, the mentoring, for me, must first start at home. Mm-hmm. Mentoring is important, but parenting that is where all the change has to happen. Yes. At. Parenting starts first, and then once the parenting come in, we find partnerships with Boys and Girls Club, just the local community things that are going on. Then we can partner those things with the parenting, and maybe we'll be able to see some change if we catch the kids early enough.
And that's so important. That's a whole campaign that we see some people talking about now, is it starts at home. Mm-hmm. Now, you're a Mobile native.
Yes, ma'am.
A graduate of LaFleur, mm-hmm, left on a college scholarship, doing, mm-hmm, very successful academically. Mm-hmm. What kept you on that straight path?
It wasn't really that straight, because I found
as a teenager you were.
As a teenager, I was a good kid as a teenager. Well, I was fearful of my mom. I was fearful of my mom, and also I had a community of men. I was raised by a single parent, so I know the woes of being raised by a single parent. I understand the statistics, and I even became part of the statistic. But my foundation was I had uncles, my grandfathers on both sides. They came and taught me. So once I got back to my root, and you kind of fall prey. What I did, I speak for myself. I fell prey to wanting it fast, not having, and that's the thing that a lot of kids face now. They are not having. Poverty drives hopelessness. Hopelessness turns into desperation, and from desperation, that's where you see most of the crimes start to happen. And once you get a taste of whatever area you go into, you don't want to let it go because you have just become something, but you've become something that's become a detriment to the community. And so while you're in it, you don't tend to realize that because you know you're a good person, but you don't see the impact that it has on everything around us. So me, I've always had great people in my life that would pull me back. And right now I feel like there's not enough checks and balances. There's not enough people out here to offer a solution to where these kids will want to hear. So the men in the community need to just step up more. We fuss about it, but as they say, as the men go, so will the community. So the men have to step up. We have to stop putting all the burden on the women. And when we can do that, we'll see the change. That's what I believe, honestly.
And you mentioned something that was so profound when you're talking about poverty, and how it breeds hopelessness and desperation. But what can we do to turn the poverty around? I mean, besides, because what these kids see is that they're seeing the drug dealers out on the streets that are making the quick money. They're seeing the athletes, and they're thinking these are the only two ways that we have out. They're not seeing education as a way out.
And what we try to show, and the guys I associate with, what we try to show them is, and not to belittle any of the guys that have made it through one avenue, but it's easy to make money, but it's harder to retain it. And so we try to teach them where value lies. And when I'm talking to the kids, I always ask them, what's the shortest distance between 2 points? It's a straight line. So when I draw the outline out, and I ask them, show me what a shortcut is. So you can get to the money fast, but if you don't know how to grow it, then it leaves fast. So we just have to be more present. And we also have to have programs that show, even if it's not a program, but just people who are willing to say, let me come in and speak to the kids about different opportunities, being insurance adjusters, it's a multitude of careers out here. Also skilled trade, something we got away from for many years that needs to make a resurgence.
So the more that they see people becoming successful that way, and they're around those people, the better off that they could be, because they're seeing that they too can attain success the right way. Yes,
ma'am. That's so. We try to afford. I know you personally, so we try to afford our kids every opportunity, and open their eyes up to different avenues. I try my best to take kids that don't have those opportunities and grant them those opportunities. I've spoken with several people about two things I feel that are really needed in the school system down here. There's conflict resolution and also financial literacy. If we can get a program started with, if it's just half a semester, to where these kids start learning about how to resolve things without going from 0 to 100 and operating in their emotions, because that's where most of the crime happens at. When kids that don't know how to process their emotions, and when they get in their emotions, they react. They don't think about the consequences of their actions. So by that point, the reaction has happened, and everything starts to fall in place, and then they start to regret it. So for me, again, those two things, financial literacy and also conflict resolution class, it need to be thought about being a part of the school system.
That's a good idea. You're right. They need it. They need it because we are finding that's where a lot of the problems that they have. Now, I know that I told you I was going to not keep you long today. And you mentor people, you talk to people. How does somebody get in touch with you to get you to come out and speak to their kids or maybe mentor kids?
Well, you can call me at 251-623-0130. That's my personal cell number. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and it's just my name, Rashiki Leatherwood, Rossshiki Leatherwood. I'm real easy. I was just ride down Spring Hill Avenue. You'll see me outside
Next Level
fussing.
Fitness, you're right. Yes, I'm one of those people that you fuss at constantly. And this is something that we're going to continue to talk about. We're not
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
let go as long as we have teenagers who need help out here across our city, because we all want to feel safe.
Yes, ma'am.
We all want to live in a better environment, but we also want to see our children succeed.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what's so important. But thank you for coming out with me,
Oh,
Rashiki. I
thank
really
you for
appreciate
inviting
it. All right, thank you so much. And Rashiki Leatherwood, Next Level Fitness.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can get in touch with him on Facebook, and then for Christmas you can see him playing Santa Claus. That's a whole nother story. We'll see you next week.